Hello and welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe, aka Big Twitchy.
And I'm Stephanie.
You like that? I'm excited to talk about Big Twitchy in the Handstand song, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
So this is Not Every Single, and we're talking about the new Miley Cyrus album, Endless Summer Vacation. Just came out. We just heard it. What'd you think?
I feel like I need more time with this album, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just coming off Plastic Hearts, though. I love Plastic Hearts so much. This isn't as much my vibe. It's definitely an interesting album, though. We got a lot to talk about.
That's actually the big shadow over the whole thing,
right.
Is how much we both like Plastic Hearts. If you want to see us gush about that album for like 20 minutes straight, we have a whole video on it. I just went like this and now my hair is insane. I guess it's going to look like this for the rest of the video. But that was more my thing too. The Plastic Hearts sound.
Yeah.
It really fit with her rasp and it felt right.
She's very badass. And so like that album was just thoroughly badass.
I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And so, to quickly pivot and move into this other direction was surprising and at first a little disappointing, but I was able to get into this record.
Okay.
So we'll start with Flowers. We do have a video talking about Flowers, so you can check that out if you want. But for now, I'll just say what I noticed hearing it a second time was just how good the bass performance is. I don't know who the bass player was on this record. Some session player, maybe someone from Lily. I don't know. But that was their name, right?
Yeah.
Lily, that band. Yeah. Amazing bass on this whole album, but it really stands out on the opener.
Okay.
And then moving right into Jaded, I'm loving this like big chorus with the signature rasp in there.
To me, this seemed like a slightly lesser track off Plastic Hearts in a lot of ways.
A little bit more tame to fit with the vibe of this album.
Yeah. But she had that vocal, the more rock leaning vocal performance. So interesting because you get the single and then you get that and you're like, okay, so is it going to be more like Plastic Hearts? Oh, guess not. No, never mind.
Yeah, no, it quickly establishes itself as, I'm going to quote a Redditor here that I saw make an amazing description of this album, day drinking album.
That is a good...
Right?
Yeah. It feels... I think it overall feels kind of chill.
Yeah, chill drive through Malibu.
Yeah, it fits the Endless Summer, the artwork and the name of the album. And
it fits.
I am imagining there's going to be a single or two over the summer. Obviously, this album's already out, but some videos and more singles that have that summer feel.
Yeah, we haven't watched that backyard session that she did.
Yeah.
We're going to check that out, though. But yeah, I imagine this is going to be like really cool for like summer festival dates and stuff. And everyone's singing along to Flowers. Like I can just instantly see how this is going to work live.
We were like out and about the other day and like walked into like an ice cream shop and Flowers was playing and there was like a 6-year-old girl singing and I was like, your song is a hit when that happens.
Yeah. So what I wrote down after hearing Flowers, Jaded, and Rose-Colored Lenses, which has really, really pristine snare reverb.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's the first thing you hear is just the drums.
Yeah.
Before everything comes in, and the reverb on the snare is very perfect. You also have like this really cool bass synth run into the second verse.
Okay.
Really cool. Anyway, after hearing those three, my main note I wrote down was everything's just like blending so well. Mm-hmm. It's really great production. I've mentioned before that this trend of this like nice, clean, punchy drum and bass sound that's been in the pop world lately, kind of, at least as far as I noticed, like started with Daft Punk Random Access Memories a decade ago. You had that, think of something like Instant Crush, that really tight, punchy, then carrying over into Dua Lipa's sound.
Yeah.
And now you're hearing it here. It sort of never gets old because it just sounds so good.
Yeah.
Anything to say about those first three?
I mean, I could think I felt similarly where they all kind of flowed together and made sense, and I was getting a sense for how I was going to feel about it, and then Thousand Miles happened.
It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Well, she has, the country roots. It's to me an odd choice to stick it right here in this album, this Brandi Carlile duet or, collab.
And, speaking, I've talked about the production on this album. Let's get into the insane 90s production that's suddenly on this album. And the like weird harmonica, like synthesized harmonica.
Okay.
The last thing I want to think about when I think about the 90s is Blues Traveler. So like, don't even remind me. I could do without it,
These references, I love that you have all these production references because I'm just kind of like this. Like, I don't like this country one that much.
Well, Blues Traveler, he had like a vest of all the different harmonicas that
like
were in different
pockets.
keys. And he was just like, oh, it's in C. Got it. And yeah, not a fan. Anyway, there is a lot going on in the production of Thousand Miles that is like peak 90s. These like artificial shaker sounds that are like weirdly high in the mix, straight from like Britney records and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, okay, you have a song called Thousand Miles. Maybe people don't care anymore because like maybe the Vanessa Carlton song has faded a bit, but
that was weird because like it almost tricked my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait, did like Brandi Carlile do that song? I thought that was Vanessa Carlton. And then like I got the names confused.
The last names are kind of similar.
And like seeing Thousand Miles, like, oh, is it going to be like a sort of what we heard with Edge of 17 on Plastic Hearts? Is it going to be this like interpolation?
Yeah. I do have to say, Brandi Carlile, she's amazing. She has a rabid fan base. I have not listened really to her stuff, but I do believe she is just like an absolute, like, just a master of her craft and rightly revered. It's just, yeah. It wasn't
just played the Grammys, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But it wasn't your favorite.
It wasn't. It felt out of place too. It just felt out of place to me.
Let us know how you feel about Thousand Miles, because right now, just taking the album in once, I feel like maybe cut it.
Yeah, I didn't need it, but
maybe it could be on the deluxe.
But the thing is, like, whatever. Miley probably, like, she was probably psyched to do this collaboration. She wanted to do it. She has country roots. Why not? Put the song on there, sure.
And here's the thing. I guarantee there's someone watching right now, that's their favorite song on the album.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So even though it's our least favorite and maybe we'd prefer the album without it, it's probably someone's favorite song.
Yeah, so I don't mind it on there.
Now, You is an interesting one where just filming our Lana Del Rey video and talking about those vocal chop samples, and then you get it here, it shows up. It's, that kind of thing isn't going away. I mentioned in the Lana video that we heard a lot of it last year in Beyonce's Renaissance, and I love that it's a tool that can be used in all these different kind of albums that are different genres,
Right, yeah.
That's my only note on You.
Yeah, though. I didn't take very extensive notes. I just sort of like took in the album.
Okay, then let's get into Handstand, because at this point, the record takes a wild left turn. Like the meme with the car turning off the road, getting onto the exit. It's like if the straight ahead sign was like, keep the vibe going the way it is. And the exit was like, just get weird.
Just get weird. Which, I'm happy when someone gets weird. Again, this song, I think I was of two minds on it. I think I liked the song, but like the lyrics were just bothering me.
This is my favorite.
Your favorite? Okay,
it's my favorite song. We heard it in the album trailer, or at least a little bit of it. Now, I'm going to blow your mind. Want to know the co-writer on this song? The co-writer on this track?
Oh, did I look it up?
Who's weird enough to be the co-writer of Handstand? But none other than Harmony Korine. famed weirdo filmmaker who wrote Kids, made Gummo, and more importantly, Spring Breakers.
So he's becoming more of a pop queen as time goes by.
A little bit, because they sang Lucky in Spring Breakers.
Okay.
And who was in that?
Wasn't it? Is it Selena Gomez?
Selena Gomez was in it. Yeah. So yeah, he's always kind of in the pop world, despite being quite the LA weirdo.
I mean, I think Miley's an LA weirdo, so it works out
True.
In the best way.
Maybe someday we'll be LA weirdos.
I don't know.
No, we're staying out here. We're New York weirdos. Yeah. I love Handstand. I love how weird it is. She's not afraid to get weird. Clearly, she did an entire album with the Flaming Lips and did some shows with them. That is a bizarre project. So this is of no surprise, I guess, only in the sense that it's on this album.
And then it's like 2 songs away from 1,000 Miles.
Yeah. And then we get into, okay, well, Handstand, we also have to mention Big Twitchy, like I did in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, so apparently Big Twitchy is like a Harmony Korine, like reoccurring character.
Okay, that makes sense.
That he like paints, like a little character he does.
He should just make an album as Big Twitchy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I don't want that. Maybe, never mind.
And then we get into River, which that's when I really started to write, like, okay, this album's getting wild.
I think this is kind of collectively known as like the Lady Gaga one.
Interesting. Yeah, I can totally hear that. Now, I think it's so cool to have an album that starts, take the first 3 songs. You think you know what this album's going to sound like. And whether you like 1,000 Miles or not, from there into these 2, like, there's a lot of different things going on. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that about it.
Yeah, it's like it's always this push and pull for me between like I love an album like we just talked about Born to Die with like cohesion and some left turns but like cohesion, and then sometimes I'm like I just love an album that like every song you're like what?
It's like she's the perfect artist to do that as far as mainstream pop. Looking at all of them, like take all the main pop girls.
Okay.
Like if I were to pick one, like who are you most excited for when they get weird with it? It's Miley.
Miley and like Halsey, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Halsey gets weird in a dark way, a dark brooding way,
in a Trent Reznor collab way.
Miley gets weird in a Flaming Lips glitter
Harmony Korine
way. Yeah. So that's all the notes I got on the album. I don't have too much after that. Do you have any?
Okay. Yeah, not a ton specific. I mean, I think we kind of have to mention the Sia thing with Muddy Feet,
Right, yeah.
There's a little bit of weirdness with some things going on with Sia. I didn't need it.
Yeah, and Sia was also in Miley's New Year's special.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are kind of like, we don't need Sia anymore. I think it's a good song. I don't know the story of why they collaborate or anything. Hopefully it's, everything's cool.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm not even super familiar with that whole Sia story. I like vaguely know what happened, but it was like long enough ago that I'm kind of like, yeah, what was that whole thing again? And I'm not even super familiar with Sia's catalog as a whole.
Right.
So to see her pop up in this album, I was just like, oh, that's weird. That's still going on.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just didn't think about it past that.
Yeah. My other, I think, note would be Wild Card is also where she goes like almost full Stevie Nicks there.
Yeah.
She like had to do a Stevie Nicks one, which I think is great because she sampled Edge of 17 and Plastic Hearts.
Yeah, it's cool. She like retains this old, even having Joan Jett on Plastic Hearts, she doesn't forget these past influences and isn't afraid to like bring them out and showcase them when needed. And I think the front half is very different from the back half of this album, but just as cool and strong.
Yeah, and I mean, even talking about like the whole idea of performers who do different things vocally. You know, she's got a very distinctive voice, but she doesn't just always sing the same way, again, which I always appreciate. There's that little demo of Flowers at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just her, like, yeah, pretty much like the raw vocals, and a stripped down version of it. And, you know, then you got something like, what was the ballad on this one that, there was, the Wonder Woman one, which is a nice song. It's about her mom losing her mom.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's a very personal song to Miley and to her family. To me, the production was a little bit like expected on that song. And she does ballads. I've liked her ballads in the past, but then hearing something like Flowers demo, like it makes me really, really want like a super raw, stripped down ballad from her.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the ballads are never really my thing. I like when they are dark and big and powerful, like Chandelier was.
Yeah. The CO one.
Or, sorry, Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball, Chandelier, Things That Swing. Yeah.
Things That Swing.
I got them confused. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what she does next. And here's another thing I was thinking. This came out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
After Plastic Hearts.
Oh, that was 2020, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think she's an artist where rapid releases really fit.
Right.
It makes sense for her. She's got a lot going on, a lot of different influences, a fan base that really seems to stick with her. I mean, I'm on board now.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, I just want them pumped out, you know, maybe shorter little mini albums, just boom, 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 you know? She's
clearly very creative and passionate and ambitious and hardworking. And this is like, we don't have to get into this, but this is clearly like very much a breakup album too.
Totally.
Which is always a fun era. Like, sucks to be in a breakup, but like the albums that come out of them can be really fun. I'm sure like very fun to sing, you know, with your audience who like knows all the scoop and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing with Flowers. But like, I'm ready to see her like next, like I'm really coming into my own type of a release, which is this is sort of that in between where she's, you know, coming out on her own, but she's still like in that sort of like I'm going to talk smack era.
Yeah. She's always come across as such a confident artist.
Right.
And has done really interesting stuff, you know, between starting out with a different persona, moving into her own solo career, doing the Black Mirror thing, covering Nine Inch Nails, speaking of Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
Like it always keeps your interest. So I'm already looking forward to what's next. We're going to check out those backyard sessions. And until then, we'll talk to you next time. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
If you like this sort of thing, stick around, subscribe. We got a lot more videos coming. Bye.